Hello, Fanatics family. Hopefully I'm live. If anyone is watching, please let me know if the audio or the video is good. But welcome to the live stream. As you can see, this is the first live stream I've ever hosted. And now that we have over 2,000 subscribers, and just today we reached 35,000 members on the Facebook group, I thought it would be really good to start a live stream. So we're going to do some question and answers. If you guys have any questions in the comments, just let me know and I can try to answer them with the best of my ability. Also, we are going to be speaking about the Kenta goldfish competition. A few of you guys have entered, so if any of you are watching, then you will get to see that as well. We're going to be doing the live draw. Also, we are going to be introducing our new sponsors, so I'm going to talk a little bit about that. As you can see, Raymond has kindly joined me on the live stream to show some support as well. And also, we're going to be going through a few goldfish topics like goldfish feeding, goldfish grooming, and also filter media, dependent on how many questions come through. Thank you for watching, Captain Chocolate Cake. I can see you are the first comment. And also, who else have we got? Crown Tail Half Moon. Thank you for joining. Shane Harding. And thank you, John Cooper, as well for joining. So without further ado, first of all, I'm going to do the Kenta goldfish competition. I'm going to release the results for that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go onto the Facebook group here. So here we've got the competition post. I'm not sure how clear that's going to be. But here we go. This is the competition post, as you can see, hopefully there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a random number generator on Google to select the winners. We only had two entrants from the US. So both of those entries have actually won. So let me just check who that was. So for our US entrants, that will be Sam Sahir or Sam Sear. You have won the Kenta goldfish food. So Jimmy Goldfish will be in contact with you to arrange your prize to be sent out to you. And there was also another member we had, if I can try and find it. Yes, Jess Longschultz. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Well done. You also won the Kenta growth as well. So now we're going to get on to the competition for the UK entrants. So in total, we had, I believe, 9 entrants. So hopefully you can see Samantha Stone is number 9. I'm not sure what the quality is going to be like, so hopefully you can see that. So what I'm going to do now is go onto Google. So we've got a random number generator here. And just for a test, I've put in number 1 to 10. So we're going to randomly generate a number. So that's randomly generated 10. Hopefully you can see that. So now I'm going to put in numbers 1 to 9, which was the number of entrants we had in the competition. So this is going to be for the first tub of Kenta growth, and the second one will be for the second. If your number does come up twice, unfortunately, you will not win both tubs of food. We'll just do the random number generator again until someone else wins. So for the first tub, let's see who's going to win. Number 7. So let's see who won. Number 7, Adam Luck. Congratulations, Adam Luck. You have won a free pot of Kenta food. So JP or myself will be in contact with you to arrange delivery of that. And now for second place, let me just do, so I'll reset the counter to 10, generate. So I've reset it. So now I'm going to put in numbers 1 to 9, and hopefully we will get another winner. Number 1. So let's check who number 1 was. So number 1 is Bert Fish. Hopefully you can see that. So well done, Bert Fish. We will be in contact with you. Let me just check up on the comments. As Emma says, congratulations, Adam, for winning. And also Gina, well done. Congratulations to Adam for that. So next up, we're going to talk about our sponsors. So I just wanted to mention we are now sponsored by the Aquamarine Centre. If you have any maintenance or installations in the London or surrounding areas, then the Aquamarine Centre offers this installation service and also maintenance as well. So if you're interested in that, the link will be down below. Also, we have now got Star Fisheries on board, who is a sponsor of the YouTube and also the Facebook group. And they will be advertising probably in the near future once their new fish house, their new fish farm has been developed and they are up and going. And finally, we also have Jimmy Goldfish from the USA, who is now sponsored us as well. And he has actually given us a discount code. So if you type in Jimmy GF at the checkout, you will get to see that 10% off your order. So if you want to order any goldfish in America, then check out Jimmy Goldfish. Let's check on the comments, see what's going on. Thanks, Scott. LETV, well done, guys. Yeah, well done, as Gina and Shane has said. If you guys have got any questions about goldfish, then leave them in the comment section and I will try my best to answer them. I'm not sure how long this stream is going to go on for. I guess it depends how many comments we get. Well done, Casper Invest. Thank you for joining the stream. I really appreciate that. So now I'm just going to talk about a few goldfish topics. If you guys have got any questions, then feel free to butt in and keep those comments coming in. But I thought, first of all, we would talk about goldfish grooming. So there are a few topics on the group that I see quite regularly and in the comment section as well. So first of all, I thought we'd talk about goldfish grooming. So to achieve the best growth rate from our goldfish, we need a few different things. We need lots of water changes, heat, and lots of food, and also quality foods. Now, there are many different foods on the market, and we will come into that after this topic. So if you guys are wanting to achieve the best out of your goldfish, we need to be sure that we feed them regularly throughout the day, as they have quite a slow metabolism dependent on the water temperature. Unless you're keeping your goldfish quite warm, we want to be feeding them regularly so they can constantly be grazing and removing those nutrients from their food and from the diet. So it's quite good if we can feed them throughout the day, just like cows do in the wild, grazing on the grass all day long to put that growth on and really pack that growth on. Welcome, Steve Branco, to the stream. Casper Invest, hey, and Dippin R, well done. Thank you so much for joining the stream. And no worries, Shane, no worries about the shout out. So if we are wanting to get our best from the goldfish, we want to be feeding a good quality food. I've just got a few foods just here. So currently I am feeding the fast and grow food. This has actually come from Thailand, and I am just testing that one out on the Ryukin over there. And also I've got some other food. I haven't tried this one yet, but this is quite popular at the moment. I believe our sponsor Jimmy Goldfish sells this, and also our UK and Europe representative, which is JP, also sells the Kenta goldfish food. Now, I personally haven't tried this just yet. I have done a video reviewing this food, but if you want to try this food out, then if you go on the Facebook group, it's quite easy to get in contact with them. I do like the high quality ingredients, and that is really what I look for in a food. I've also got this arowana food here. I know it is not goldfish based, but when you're selecting a food, just make sure you check those ingredients. You really want to be looking for the high quality ingredients, those insect meals, spirulina, crab, etc. This one, for example, has got white fish in it. It's got egg powder. It's got, what else? Shrimp paste, Antarctic krill. There's loads of stuff. Oh, wow. Thank you, Casper. I really appreciate the donation. Thank you. That is actually amazing. I'm blown away. I can't believe you actually donated. Wow. Thank you so much, Casper. I really appreciate that. Really appreciate that one. Is there anything these foods have in common? Anything we should look for to know its quality? Yes, Emma. So if you're looking for different quality foods, the main thing you want to be looking for is if it has a high level of wheat protein, wheat starch, those fibrous proteins and those fibrous, what would you call, bulking agents within the food. A lot of these bulking agents fill up the food, and it's very cheap for the manufacturers to add. So we don't really want to be looking for a food that's got that level in. When you're selecting a food, generally the highest level of ingredients will be first on the list. So if you can see brewer's yeast, any wheat gluten, any wheat, etc., right at the beginning of that food, then you know that food has got quite a high level of these undigestible proteins and starchy contents within them. So we definitely don't want to be feeding our fish those if we can help it. Most foods do need these bulking agents, but if we can, it's best to step away from these. For instance, if we're using rapashi, it's got a really nice digestibility, loads of nutrients packed into it, and it's not that full of those bulking agents. Hey, Chloe, welcome to the stream. Thank you, Fancy Goldfish Girl. Hi there as well. Thank you for joining the stream. Steve says, have I reviewed the Saki Hikari food? I believe I have, but that was probably maybe 8 months ago. I believe the Sake Hikari food does have quite a little bit of bulking agents in. It's not quite the same as it used to be. It used to be the best food on the market, but there are some ingredients that I'm not too keen on, and that is potentially why I haven't been using it. But it's definitely something to look forward to in the future. I should do a more up-to-date video on the Sake Hikari food, so I will have a look into that definitely. I do have a video coming up in the short-term future where I'm going to be feeding all the fish around the Fancy Goldfish Fanatics house, so that will be out in probably the next sort of 2 or 3 weeks. What other comments have we got? Anything alongside pellet, or is pellets the best? I would generally say no, pellets aren't the best. As we know with our ranchu, which have those small, round, compacted bodies, they don't digest these compounds so well, and the pellets really can cause a bit of bloat, a bit of swim bladder issues. So I would always feed a balanced diet if you can. There's some really good homemade foods you can do. I think around 6 to 8 months ago, I did a video on making your own gel food. And if we can get lots of different vegetable and plant matter within that food, with maybe some prawns or some high quality protein in there as well, that would be really good for our fish. They can break it down nice and easily if it's chopped quite finely, and also it gives them a little bit of enrichment as well. You can also add a bit of garlic in there. I believe you can add some sort of peppers, some potatoes, spinach. Just make sure that food is nice and soft before you add it to the mix, and then you can potentially blend it up, add some gelatin or some agar, and that will help bind it all together, and then you can freeze it and it will last for absolute ages, last for months in the freezer. So that is another good alternative alongside frozen foods like bloodworms or mysis, shrimps, but I would feed those slightly more in moderation. Although the fancies, I know they aren't a wild fish, but goldfish do accumulate in the wild, and they will generally more likely than not eat plant-based foods, rummaging around in the detritus, and also mainly insects. So these are quite good foods to feed as well. John Cooper, what foods do you feed your fancy goldfish? And the fish right behind me. Okay, so the fancies, as I mentioned, I feed the fast and grow food. So that is what my Ryukins are currently on, and I am only feeding that pellet food. I want to see if that pellet food is causing any negative effects to the body shapes of the Ryukin, or if it's causing any potential swim bladder or buoyancy issues. And at the moment, for the past 6 weeks, it hasn't had any effect whatsoever. I'm also feeding the herons fancy goldfish food to the top view ranchu, which are outside, and they are really enjoying that. But I am not feeding currently any bloodworm or any rapashi to the inside Ryukin, just to see how they get on. I want to see how the hardiness of those evolves over time, and really just see how they get on with solely a pellet diet. Now onto the fish behind me. So I don't think you can quite see if I move the camera. You can see we've got Steve and Raymond, and we've also got Ariana, the arowana, right behind me, and then we've got the geophagus as well. So these guys get quite a mixed diet. So they get king prawns. They are luckily on Tesco Finest king prawns, and they also get frozen mussels as well. Generally, I chop those up and feed them towards the evening, but I don't chop them up too finely, otherwise the geophagus will eat all of the food. And then the arowana occasionally takes pellets, but he's quite fussy. So I've got the arowana sticks here which float, and sometimes he takes these from the surface. And then I've also got like a carnivore pellet for the geophagus. What other questions have we got? Do you use duckweed as a grazer? Duckweed is an incredible food, and I don't currently use it. It would be such a good food to feed. It has got a really good digestibility for the fancy goldfish. It's got really good protein and it's got a really good nutrient reserve, basically, because it is just sucking up those nitrates from the water. And I definitely would feed those to fancies if I had some. They can break it down nice and easily. It's quite a soft food, so really easy for them to digest. So definitely, if you've got some duckweed on hand and you can cultivate it really easily, then I would definitely be introducing that to the diet of your fancies. What else have we got? Mine love live and frozen food along with the veggies and rapashis. Yes, Gina, definitely. Frozen food is really good. I bet they absolutely love brine shrimp. That is really good for them, bit of enrichment. Other live foods are really good, such as Daphnia. Daphnia is actually a grazer, and it will eat that green algae throughout the water column. So it will constantly be grazing throughout the day, taking in that green algae, producing these nice lipids and fatty acids, which are really good as building blocks for muscle development in our fancy goldfish. So definitely Daphnia would be another good live food to introduce to the diet. They are also so easy to keep. In fact, I actually had a glass tank outside, which I was cultivating the Daphnia in. All I did was added a little bit of green water culture from another hobbyist to a tank of essentially rainwater with a bit of tap water in. That green water absolutely populated the tank, and the Daphnia just grew like crazy. And I would just take netfuls out each day, add them to the fancy tank, and they get lots of enrichment and high quality food. What other comments have we got? Emma, maybe a silly question. You mentioned prawns as protein. What about terrestrial protein such as chicken? Yeah, you can add these to the diet. Generally, I've seen some hobbyists add steak and also tuna steak to the diet of their fancies. Now, terrestrial proteins such as maybe chicken or beef, generally, I'm not sure on the digestibility of this. Personally, I wouldn't add it to the diet of my fish because generally that is not what they come across in the wild. Although our fancies aren't technically a wild species, they potentially aren't built to digest this. And I'm not sure of the gluten levels or the sort of fibrous protein within that and how easy it is to digest. I also know people adding protein powder and like bulking protein powders as well, meant for human consumption. But a lot of these protein powders are built up of like the yeast and the brewer's yeast and those fibrous proteins rather than the slightly easier digestible proteins such as fish meal. So generally I would try to keep terrestrial protein out of the diet of my fancies. Maybe you could introduce tuna. That's worth a try. I know it's got quite good fat levels and quite good protein levels, but obviously it's quite costly as well for a tuna steak, and I'm sure most of you would prefer to eat that tuna steak rather than let it go to your fancies. But after all, we do care about our fish probably more than we care about ourselves. What else have we got? Loving the fast and grow, not found any issues with it. That's really good to hear, Gina. I know the fast and grow has quite a small pellet size, which is really good for the fish. Generally, I try to feed quite a small pellet size if I can, because once those pellets enter the water and they do enter the fish, they do start to swell up and they can clog inside the fish. So I do like to use the fast and grow. It's not that easy to get hold of. That's the only thing about it. And there is not that much information on the back of the packet about the quality of ingredients as it is from Thailand. But I just purchased it to have a little trial really with it and see how they got on. But they seem to be enjoying it quite nicely. So I'm just sticking through that. And then I'll probably finish up the Heron's fancy goldfish food that I've got as well. Shane Harding, I've never had any issues with the fast and grow as well. That's really good to hear. It would be nice if we could get maybe a shipment of fast and grow into the country because it's quite difficult to get hold of. Maybe I'll speak to a few contacts, see if they can get any more in. Maybe we can offer it to the group to trial out as well. What song, loud or quiet? Kendall, I am not sure what that comment means, so maybe you could clarify. John, is the Heron's food any good, as the price was quite reasonable? Not sure about the quality. Yeah, actually, so I purchased that Heron's food around a year ago, and the fish seem to really like it. The quality of ingredients are really good. I think it's got Antarctic krill, maybe crab, it's got spirulina, it's got quite a nice range of foods. And I actually am speaking about that Heron's food that I purchased in a video that's going to be out in about 2 or 3 weeks. And so far, it seems really good. The fish seem to really be enjoying that Heron's food. I'm not quite sure on how long the quality of the pellet will last. As the pellet is quite a dry pellet, I tend to find with the drier pellets, they don't hold in that nutrients. They don't lock in that nutrients for as long as the slightly moister pellets. So I'm not sure how long the quality of that protein and the quality of those nutrients will last in the pellet. But so far, it seems to be doing well, and I've grown quite a few fancies on that food as well. So it's definitely worth a try, and it's actually quite an affordable pellet. I think I picked up a kilo of pellet for, I would like to say maybe £20, some £25, which is quite reasonable, I believe, compared to some of the others on the market. For instance, the sake hikari, I think that food you get about 150, 200 grams, and that generally is from 15 to 20 pounds. So a little bit cheaper, but you get far, far less. So maybe worth a try. Casper, have you seen any crazy tanks, like ridiculously expensive tanks? Actually, yes, I have. And that is something that I'm thinking about bringing onto the channel. So I'm thinking about, with the tank tours series that we've got, although we've not had too many tanks on that, we actually have two tanks coming up in the next 2 or 3 weeks on the tank tour series. But I'm thinking about introducing some of the other aquatic fish tanks, maybe some marine tanks, some tropical tanks. I'm not sure how the subscribers would like that, because I know most people do like the fancy goldfish content, but maybe we could bring some more of those in potentially once a month. We could bring in another aquatic tank, like a marine tank, maybe talk about the filtration, how we can relate that back to the goldfish, and how we can bring that into the goldfish hobby, for example. So maybe that would be something to bring on the channel. So that is a good comment, Casper. Definitely something I would like to bring onto the channel if the subscribers would like that. John bought some from eBay. I guess you're talking about the heron's food. Let me know what you think about it. Post it on the group. Let us know what you think, if you think it's a good food, because it is quite an affordable food. Jessica, what are your go-to vegetables to feed? So generally, if I'm feeding a homemade gel food, the sort of vegetables that come to mind are mainly cucumber. Added some potatoes, although I kind of lean back on the potatoes just due to their fibrous, starchy levels. Carrots, courgettes. What else have we got? You can add some peppers, I believe, but I probably wouldn't go too crazy on those, because I think they've got sort of a bit more spice to them. Definitely garlic. If you can add some spirulina powder. What other vegetables can I think of? You could add some lettuce, but that doesn't really have too much of a nutritional impact on the food. So those are the sort of veggies I would add. There are some other veggies you can have. I think people have fed oranges as well, but that's quite difficult to get into the gel food. But maybe a bit of fresh orange juice would add a bit of vitamin C to the food. And also you can feed some banana as well. It's quite a good bit of enrichment for them. If you aren't feeding it as a gel food, you can add a bit of cucumber or banana on a fork and watch your goldfish generally graze on that, which provides a bit of enrichment as well as some essential vitamins and minerals to the fish. Scott Wilson, earthworms are cheaper than steak. Yes, definitely. Earthworms would be really good. If you can farm your own earthworms in like a worm farm or maybe a compost heap, and you know those worms haven't come into contact with any fertilizers or any pesticides, and you brought them up yourself, then definitely that would be quite a good thing to add to your diet. Generally, you can chop them up quite finely. I know some people may not like to feed these live earthworms, but you can chop these worms up quite finely and add them to the diet. I probably wouldn't add them to a homemade gel food or a homemade food, generally because they probably go off very quickly and they probably become rancid within the food. So if you are going to feed earthworms, you can give the small ones whole to your fancies and they will absolutely love it. They slurp it up like spaghetti, or you can chop some bigger ones up into smaller pieces. A great natural food as well for them. And also if you're having your own worm farm, they're also doing a job for you, composting your food. So it's great food from the environment as well. Hey Carla, thank you for joining the stream. Can you sing Grizzly Bear in the Cave? I cannot do that, Kendall, unfortunately, because I do not know that song. But thank you for the comment and thank you for watching anyway. Julie Ashton, my fancies love wood lice as a treat. Wow, I've never heard of wood lice. I have heard of wood lice, but I've never heard about feeding wood lice. That is a first one for me. So that would be really interesting if you could do a little write-up on the group. Maybe let us know, do you need to wash them, or do you just simply throw them in the tank? How often do you feed wood lice? I know they probably got quite a crunchy outer shell, but I guess it's quite a good bit of nutrition for the fish, something a bit different. I guess carp and goldfish in the wild would potentially eat insects like wood lice if they do fall in the water. So that is definitely a first for me, though. I've never heard that one, so I've definitely learned something new today, which is great. Emma, thanks, Judy. Gina, do you recommend adding vitamins to your fish food? So I've never personally added vitamins. I know people sometimes do soak their pellets in a bit of tank water and add vitamins or add like a liquid garlic to the pellets. But generally, I haven't done that before. Generally, I find as soon as you adding that liquid vitamins to the food, once it hits that water, generally it's going to wash off. If you can soak them for sort of a few minutes, potentially those pellets, if they're a dry pellet, they might absorb that vitamins and maybe it will boost the fish a little bit. Personally, I don't think it's going to have that much of a greater effect on the fish, but if the fish is potentially slightly weakened, it's definitely worth a try. I would say if you can add those vitamins into a gel food or into a homemade food, they'll probably be locked in a little bit more and have plenty of time to soak into that food before you feed it to the fish. So if I was going to add some extra vitamins, I probably would add those to a homemade food rather than the pellets. But if you've got it on hand, it's definitely worth a try. But I'm not sure there's any scientific conclusive evidence that it does work. Julie, yeah, Emma, you're lucky to have searched them. Fancy Goldfish Girl broccoli, yeah, that was definitely one I forgot. If you can add some steamed or microwave broccoli to the gel food, that would be absolutely great. Or if you can add that to a homemade food potentially. I always find if you steam the foods, they hold in those nutrients a little bit better. You can also blanch them or microwave them if you just put them in some water and then stick them in the microwave for a few minutes. But generally the nutrients will soak out of the food. So if you can feed vegetables or finely cut vegetables to your food, generally if you can steam them, that would potentially be the best way before chopping them up so they are bite-sized chunks for your fancies. Am I loud or quiet with the fish? Again, Kendall, I'm not sure what you mean by that. I am speaking quite loudly if that's what you mean, but the fish are never bothered and I generally have music on and the fish are not too bothered. I know fish can be sometimes affected by loud vibrations, but generally I find they're absolutely happy and healthy. As you can see, the arowana is absolutely fine. He's not getting scared by my hand or anything. So maybe that's potentially what you meant. I'm already in the garden for hunting some. How are you watching this live stream, Emma, and also hunting for wood lice? I'd love to see how many you catch. Woodworm from Tina Bull. Hello, Tina. Welcome to the live stream. Thank you for watching. Woodworm, I guess they're like little grubs, I suppose. I'm not sure they would be great for feeding your fancies in case they've got any pincers on them. But I suppose if you cut them up like worms, then you could definitely add those to the feed or add them to a gel food, for instance. But potentially I wouldn't leave that gel food too long if you're going to add some high protein foods like earthworms, grubs, anything like that. And also make sure these items, like these insects, have come from somewhere where there is no pesticides or any chemicals, because the last thing you want to do is be introducing these chemicals to your tank and potentially poisoning your fish. So yeah, if you do have any grubs, you could definitely cut those up, and I'm sure it's worth a try for your fancies. But personally, I haven't tried that. Any dream fish you want one day? In all honesty, I think at the moment I have my dream fish behind me, the monster fish. I always think that this tank behind me would look great as a fancy goldfish tank, maybe with 20, 30 Ryukins swimming behind me. But the stingrays I'm absolutely loving at the moment. As you can see, Steve in the background and Raymond searching for food all the time. And you can see they're right at the top looking for food. So currently these are my dream fish. And also I do have the Ryukins and the top view Ranchu, which I've never kept before, so I'm finding them really interesting to see how they grow. The top views are definitely growing, and I'm actually going to be doing an update video very soon on those to see how they've come on over the past few months. Thank you, Tina. Thank you for loving the channel. Thank you for joining the live stream, and thank you to everyone who's watching the live stream. We're already at 30 minutes. I really appreciate all the comments. Really enjoyable live stream, and it's gone really well so far. I'm not sure how long this live stream is going to go on for. Depends how many more comments we get, but maybe we'll end it up in the next sort of 10 to 15 minutes, just dependent on how many comments we get. And also I'll get on to the last topic, which was filter media as well, if the comment section starts to dry up. Mobile phone or data? Oh, okay, that's how you're watching the live stream. I hope you find lots of wood lice. Am I quiet? I'm not sure if you mean on the live stream, but I'm speaking quite loudly. It depends how maybe your volume's turned up quite low. Not sure about that. I think they're asking if you shout at your fish or not. No, I do not shout at my fish because they never answer me back and they are very loyal, I have to say. They always do what they're supposed to and they always listen to me. So I definitely don't shout at the fish. Carla, I want a stingray. Oh, they're absolutely awesome. I love watching them, especially when it gets quite dark. It's starting to get a bit dark out here and I love the tank lights on. They are so active, so friendly, and they are just constantly roaming around the tank, looking through the substrate. They do forage through the substrate like the fancy goldfish do as well. So it's quite interesting to watch their interaction with the substrate. And sometimes you can actually hide some food under the substrate. I believe these stingrays use electrical impulses to find their food in the wild and most likely in captivity as well. So they're always foraging, looking around, and sometimes you might see Raymond or Steve behind me sort of flapping their wings and digging in that substrate and looking for food. How big will the arowana get? So, John, the arowana will likely get to around 2 foot long. So he's currently, I would say, around 12 inches. So he will double in length. Potentially, I will have to get a bigger tank because I don't want this tank to be too small for him. Likely, I will keep the length, but I will definitely extend out this way quite a bit if he outgrows this tank. But he's grown fairly slowly. I've had him for around since October. So we're looking around 8 months, something like that. And he's doubled in size already, but he's starting to pack on the pounds. But we will see if he needs a tank upgrade maybe next year or the year after. And also the stingrays will really appreciate that as well. Any tips for looking after eggs? So I'm assuming you are talking about fancy goldfish eggs and not cream eggs or chicken eggs. So if you've got some fancy goldfish eggs, you may find that they will get a fungus on them, no matter if you keep them inside, outside, in a tank, in a pond, etc. And if you can, it's quite good to remove the eggs that have got fungus on. You can use a treatment like methylene blue, which will really help keep that fungus under control to get a really good hatch rate and success rate out of your fancies. So if you do have a high level of fungus, if you can remove some of those eggs, then that is the best way to do. Obviously, they will need to be fertilized, otherwise they won't hatch. But generally after I'd say day 3, you should start to see 2 tiny black dots in the eggs, and they should hatch dependent on the temperature within around 5 to 7 days, dependent on that temperature. So once those eggs are hatched, you want to make sure your fish also don't get any fungus as well. The fry are really fragile once they hatch, and you want to be getting onto baby brine shrimp as soon as possible. And if you can set up a baby brine shrimp hatchery, that is really the best thing you can do. You can feed them a little bit of broken up egg yolk as well, but generally a baby brine shrimp is the best thing you can give to your fry, followed by Daphnia, some small crumb. Generally, I wouldn't, what a lot of people may not know, once your fry are big enough and old enough, a lot of people will break up their main pellet that they feed to the fancies and give it to the fry. But you must be careful because these pellets may not have a high level of protein that these fry naturally need. Wow, thank you for the donation, Casper. I really appreciate that. That's absolutely crazy. Oh, I can't believe that. Thank you so much, Casper. I really appreciate that. So as I was saying, I'm absolutely blown away. As I was saying, the fry are very fragile, and generally the fry in the wild would be consuming tiny microorganisms, tiny little insects. So they do need quite a high level of protein in the diet. So there are lots of fry foods on the market. I think ZM Foods are a really good company to have a look at. I haven't purchased them from them previously, but they do sell the baby brine shrimp, they sell the eggs, and they sell lots of fry foods. So definitely I would have a look at that if you are raising your own fry. Who else have we got on? We've got very quiet at fish at night time. Best tip you can give for a newbie. Okay, Julie, best tip I would say for a newbie is probably quarantine your fish. A lot of people overlook this aspect, and you can come into the hobby and get out of the hobby very, very quickly. So I would always say it is best to quarantine your fish, because generally a lot of newbies that come into the hobby think, let's just chuck all these fish together, they'll be all right. And a lot of the times they are, and they have a good, successful hobby. But a lot of the time as well, if you're introducing fish, especially from different sources, and you haven't quarantined your fish and there's a parasite outbreak, as a newbie, you may not know how to treat or what to do. So potentially that could lead to further disease, fish death, etc., etc. And you really do not want that to happen, because you will get out of the hobby so quickly and it is so easy to give up. But if you can quarantine your fish, it will reward you in the long term. I have quarantined quite a lot of fish in the past. Most of them didn't have any parasites, but a few of them have had parasites, and it would have been catastrophic if I'd have introduced that to the main tank. I would have had a bigger volume of water, so more medication, more money to treat the new fish, would have caused the old fish to have undue stress and potential damage. And if you don't catch these parasite problems quickly, they can quickly explode and get out of control. So I would say, personally, as a newbie, I would definitely focus on quarantine. Wow, thank you, Gina. Wow, another donation. I can't believe it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That means so much to me. You wouldn't even understand. Those donations really help me with the channel. I spend a lot of time editing the videos, and I really enjoy it, and I love what I do, and those donations make a huge difference. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I hope you enjoyed the live stream, and if you've got any questions, definitely drop them in that comment section. John Cooper, how big will your stingray get? So I did decide to choose Steve and Raymond, which are both male rays. And I decided to choose them because they generally don't get that big. The females potentially could get up to 24 inches in diameter, even 26 inches. And Motoro stingrays, which I don't have, can get up to 36 inches. So nearly a meter in diameter. So I definitely didn't want to go for those. So I went for the smallest species. There are a couple of smaller species like the Hystrix stingray and the Scabina stingray, but I didn't manage to source any of these. So I did decide to go for these two. And generally, I would say they would max out around that 14 to 16 inches, likely that 16-inch range. So potentially they will need a bigger tank. But that is the general range for the male stingray. Wow, Emma, thank you for the donation. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. I hope you're enjoying this content. As I said, if you've got any questions, leave them in that comment section. I might leave this stream running a little bit longer because it seems like a few people are coming in and coming out. So it will be nice to answer all of their questions. Are any fancies hardier than others? I find the ranchers seem to have less problems than Orandas. I think that definitely depends on where you source your fish from. For instance, a lot of the Chinese, the high quality Chinese and Thai ranchus potentially can have lots of problems if they aren't provided with the correct care. A lot of hobbyists will keep these Thai and Chinese ranchus at lower temperatures, and problems do come around quite quickly. They can have buoyancy issues, swim bladder issues, and I did unfortunately suffer a big loss with my Chinese and Thai ranchu. Super quick loss. I managed to save around 6 fish, and that was end of last year. So I luckily managed to save those with a water quality problem. But those fish can go downhill really quickly. I found the Orandas I personally found the Orandas tend to be a little bit more hardy. If you go for the slightly longer body Thai Orandas, rather than the smaller compact bodies of the Shogun style Orandas, which have got the really big heads and smaller compact bodies. So generally, I've now got some Ryukin and the Top View Ranchu from Japan, and they have been really hardy, and I've had no problems whatsoever with those. The Ryukin have a slightly taller and wider body shape, so their organs aren't too compacted, and they're not ending up with those swim bladder or buoyancy issues. And also, the Top View Ranchu outside are used to that cold water, and they aren't developing any problems. They generally have a longer, slender body as well, so they're not potentially getting that buoyancy issue and those compacted organs. So I would say a slightly hardier fancy goldfish to go for would be the Ryukin. I would say your short body ranchu, short body Orandas are fish that will potentially have swim bladder and buoyancy issues. But if you are going to go for those, I would generally keep them at a higher temperature if they are coming in from Thailand and they have been groomed really intensively and they're quite young fish, but quite large fish. I would definitely keep those at the higher end of the temperature spectrum because they seem to do much better over that temperature, basically. JP, thank you. JP Style is in the house. Thank you, JP, for joining the live stream. I've been speaking about your Kenta. If you guys don't know, JP is the distributor for Kenta in the UK and the Isle of Man, and I believe he also distributes over a little bit of Europe as well. So if you are after any Kenta, make sure you check out the group. Also, if you're in the USA, Jimmy Goldfish will be able to supply you with some Kenta as well, and he has kindly given us the code JimmyGF. So if you use that at the checkout, you will get 10% off your orders. Gina B, it was nearly £80. I didn't know how it worked. Oh, that's a shame. I wish you had donated £80. I really would have appreciated that one, Gina. But thank you for watching. And Casper, the donations are rolling in tonight. I am super perplexed. I did not think anyone would donate, and I'm glad to see we've nearly got 20 people watching the live stream, which is more than I expected, so I'm really happy with that as well. So thank you guys for watching, and keep those questions rolling in. I think we're going to keep the live stream going a little bit longer. Gina, you've worked hard to get where you are. You've helped many. Thank you so much, Gina. That means a lot, and I hope I've helped lots of people on the Facebook group. As I said, if any of you guys in the comment section or any of you guys watching aren't part of the Facebook group, is absolutely free to join. You can ask for help. If you don't need any help, you just want to share your fancy goldfish, then feel free to just pop them on the group and share your photos, because everyone loves looking at the fancy goldfish photos on the group, and they get lots of interaction and you can just help other hobbyists out, which is really great. Fancy Goldfish Girl, I'm missing Joanna's trick questions. Yes, I'm thankful that Joanna has not asked me any really difficult questions on the stream and baffled me, so I appreciate that, Joanna. If you don't know Joanna, she is otherwise known as Captain Chocolate Cake. I recently did a interview style question and answer video with her, so if you want to check that out, I believe that was last week, and she also did that on her channel as well. So if you do want to check out Joanna's channel, then she is also called Captain Chocolate Cake, and give her a little subscribe. She definitely knows her stuff and she works really hard as well. What content do you have in store for Fancy Goldfish Fanatics community this year? Okay, so this brings me back to Casper Invest question. So Casper also mentioned about any high expensive quality tanks that I've seen. So we are going to be doing a bit more on the tank tours series. I believe we've got JP's tank coming up very soon. He needs to send me some videos, so make sure you send me those videos. For the rest of the year, I'm hoping to branch out, and we're going to be getting some other content on the channel. Not all the time, but every month, maybe once or twice a month. And we're going to be getting some other tanks, some big marine systems, hopefully, so we can bring that content back into the fancy goldfish world, see how we can tinker with our tanks, change it so that our fancy goldfish get the best out of us, basically, and see how we can bring that side of the hobby into the fancy goldfish hobby, because the aquatic hobby as a whole is great to know all aspects of it, because there are loads of different techniques from different sectors that are really good to bring in together. So for the rest of the year, I'm hoping to do lots more tank tours, and also we have a special video that will be coming up in the next, I'd say, 1 to 2 months, and I'm really excited to bring that on the channel. It's going to open the channel up a little bit more and expand our audience, hopefully, and bring in lots of new subscribers and lots of different side of the aquatic hobby, basically. Oh yes, Gina. Don't forget, you can also get 5% discount at the Fin Room for UK members. I believe the Fin Room do live foods, frozen foods. I'm not sure if they do any plants. Maybe you can let us know in the comments. As Gina said, if you use Fancy Goldfish 5, you get that 5% discount. So we don't get anything from that, but obviously you guys do. If you want to use that, feel free to. Kendall, again, why are you very quiet with the fish? I'm really not sure what you're saying, Kendall. I apologize. Maybe you're talking about being really quiet with the fish so they don't get spooked, potentially. But generally, if that's what you mean, they will generally get used to you, and they will get used to those surroundings, and they won't be too frightened or afraid. Generally, when I got the Ryukins, they were really scared when I walked past the tank, but now they've got used to that noise, and as soon as I go up to that tank, they are straight up at the top, waiting for food. Casper, maybe the fish are very quiet with you. Yeah, unfortunately, they don't speak back to me that much, and I can't really get much of a conversation out of them. So, yeah, I think we're going to wrap it up there. So we're at 45 minutes. Thank you to everyone who has joined the stream. I've really appreciated it. If you like the stream then and you're watching not live, basically, feel free to leave a comment. Oh, wow, thank you so much, Shane, for the donation. Shall I keep the stream going? I thought we were about to close it off. Thank you, Shane. Really appreciate that donation. Thank you for watching, and thank you for helping out on the group. Our great group of moderators really help on the group, making sure it's absolutely great for the members, and the content is constantly flowing into the group, and constantly we are looking after the members, making sure everyone is happy and enjoying the group. Can you whisper with the fish? I can whisper with the fish, but I generally don't whisper with them, if that's what you mean. Not too sure. Don't forget the Finrum discount. Yeah, Julie, as you said, Finrum do a great discount. Yeah, I'm not really sure what Kendall's on about. I'm really apologetic. Sorry, Kendall. I don't understand what you mean about being loud and quiet with the fish. But I think we're going to end the stream there. As always, thank you all for watching this stream. Hopefully we'll do another stream in the future. I've actually really enjoyed it, and it's gone really well. So as always, remember to keep those water changes up, and happy fish keeping.